All right, we're doing our usual Monday stream. I'm gonna try to go for an hour. Might end up going a little longer than that. Who knows? Uh, I'm trying to put out this video this week because I didn't I didn't time it to be around this person's birthday, but I'm probably gonna it'll probably come out that day, uh, on Wednesday. So it's one of those unintentional things that kind of just happens. So we'll see if we get anybody to show up. Um, on my other stream, there was a person. I mean, I guess I can say who they were because it didn't really. I wouldn't call this like an offensive comment, but they wrote, why does romance end up being the topic on so many of your streams?" Like, you really don't understand where somebody would have an audience that likes to discuss that stuff and then try to cater to them by discussing that thing. Tell you that's one of the biggest problems with people that don't make content. They always just ask a lot of things that are kind of ridiculous. Let me say a little banana. The middle of a writing session. Well, I didn't mean to. You can detract a point from me. There was something else I was gonna say. I lost my train of thought. So when the guy made the fake account, he had like on two of my videos that he re-uploaded, he had some comments, and somebody wrote like the biggest conspiracy theory comment I've ever read, where they were like, for all you know, she could have been lying about the picture being her as well. After like mentioning that she had lied to her mother and lied to me at the same, and I'm just thinking to myself that yes, this woman has an entire account with pictures of the same person that goes back for several months as part of a coordinated effort to trick me into thinking that this these photos are someone else. Like, you see how like that would in her having this fake picture on this fake, supposed account of like fake pictures doesn't you'd have to really believe she was like some master plotter, like she was just sitting there like, I'm gonna take this person's photo and then that person's photo. Oh yeah, dude, she really coordinated. But see, that's the kind of stuff I don't really like discussing or getting involved with, because whether the picture was real or not, that's not the damn point. The point is you had a person who asked you on a date and then you accepted. And if this were not the Twilight Zone, then the two of you would go on a date. And if you didn't like it, you could never do it again. But instead, you had this person that asked you on that, you accepted them, and then you were given all these excuses and backflips for why they wouldn't want to do it anymore. Um, so again, even if that was a fake picture, which there's no reason to believe that, it still isn't the point of the story. That's why I said that a lot of these people get caught off topic with like things that don't really matter as far as the main point that's being made. Like when they start talking about appearances, oh, you look this way. It's like, yeah, but we're not. This isn't a fashion show. We're sitting here discussing ridiculous behavior. Not grading people on their appearances if this is America's Next Top Model. Now, the romance people love getting caught up on stuff that is just insane to me. Things that don't matter, things that are irrelevant. They do a lot of kowtowing to chicks. I still can't get over the broad that is going to say I'm too negative for her, but then we have screenshots of her saying she wanted to take her own life. It's like, nobody, like, I'm not a prick, so I don't make fun of someone for feeling suicidal. But when you act that way and then you try to tell someone else that they're negative, the implication is that because I'm another individual who is therefore like not on her level, like as I said before, these relationships are not about actually liking the other person or believing that they're your equal. um because you're like her slave, you're not allowed to display any emotion other than happiness, even if the situation doesn't call for it. But she's allowed to, be happy or be depressed depending on what's occurring. I swear, man, romance is no longer about genuinely liking someone. It's all this weird matrix simulation where the women are NPCs and the men are Mr. Smith. Imagine they come in there wearing the little black glasses and got the little like the mic thing behind them. You know the little wires that people have behind their ear for the microphone. It's really scary when you read some of the stuff people write on here, like the guy that said do 500 push-ups a day. It's like, that stuff is the perfect fodder for the upcoming work on yourself, video that like talks about why it's stupid, because it's like you would never see. It doesn't matter how in shape I was, you would never see someone tell a woman that to go on a date with me, she had to go to the gym every day or do 500 push-ups or run 3 miles a week. It would never. And it's not because all of these chicks are in shape, because we can go on Facebook and find plenty of photos of broads that are overweight that are with a man that's not. Um, it's simply because they put a overvaluing on broads that like everything is meant to cater toward them. So they think it's normal for you to go to these ridiculous extremes, just to maybe get a date. Mr. Smith. I tell you about the guy that wrote the comment about me treating people online like crap. It's like, yeah, people online have never treated me like crap, right? They don't come to my video and say you're going to molest someone or you're going to blow up a building, because they never write that type of stuff to me, right? The guy that used to comment on here before he turned into a heel. He said that they expect me to be like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. Like, howdy, internet person. Thank you for calling me out of my name and saying all this gross stuff about me. Like, you're supposed to like have this weird pacifist stance toward all these people that get to just say whatever nasty stuff they want about when you lack introspection. It's like you can't say that about somebody in like several paragraphs on their channel and then get mad when they do a stream where they talk about you. I mean, you can, but then you're basically trying to like dictate how I respond to you. Because usually, if I do a video about someone, it's typically just to kind of like let off steam. Like, I do mention a lot of them make it to where it's impossible to talk to them. Like that broad blocked my phone number and then blocked me on like even on an account where I had never even spoken to her. Um, so she made it impossible to actually talk about these. And really, I couldn't care less what her response would be, because it's going to be something stupid. I did the video to show how even when it looks like this person is interested, it's all just smokescreen. It's a projection of a fantasy that you're being led to believe, because asking someone on a date is something a person who is interested normally would do. But when you have these chicks with these mental problems, they do things like that, and then they excuse this like really quick, swift, backpedaling by using their mental health or their confusion about their sexuality or some other non like just every excuse possible. Oh yeah, dude, people totally never come to your live streams and insult you and associate you with a group you've never explicitly expressed membership with. Well, that's my point, that he wants me, that person that wrote that comment, to kowtow and be respectful toward a group of people who, for the most part, have been very insulting to me, even if they don't call me out of my name. When you're telling somebody that you think they're going to molest another person because they couldn't get a date when they've never indicated that they would, it's like I don't know how a normal person can be nice towards someone who writes that about them. Please be nice to us as we insult you. I actually was watching The Simpsons last night. That's why I just like because I wasn't really watching the show when he said that during that period, but I was watching it, so that reminded me of that. Damn, dropped that thing twice in like 10 minutes. They over here every time you drop something, there has to be an investigation. I drop a drink. What was that? You drop a phone. What is that? I'll never get over when I did the one stream where I was talking about how someone threw out some shampoo I was using, and I was talking about how ridiculous it was because like you could see in the bottle that it was nowhere near being empty, and this person was like, "I will never watch you again." I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, "You get that mad because I talked about something that bothered me, and like if the whole stream was about that, it's okay. Well, you discuss something else, but it's like." It's just a passing mention of how something had personally affected me. Like, damn, there are people who really believe that you're not allowed to talk about things that affect you on your own channel. It's really insane. The way these men coordinate attacks against you every time you criticize a woman, they're like a melodrama less impressive Ginyu Force. Um, I don't even really feel like they're coordinated. They just like we talked about this before, but how men online act like porn stars where they try to pass themselves off as being these experts on getting with a broad, even ones that admit they haven't been with one, or just they try to like position themselves as these well-informed individuals you should listen to. Um, but like I said, I can't picture an alternate reality or a scenario where I'm with someone and I'm watching videos about not getting with that person. Like I don't see how those two things are, connect with each other. Just like I feel like I know how to edit videos, so I don't look up how to edit videos, you know? No, I don't think they're coordinated like the Ginyu Force. They're like I mean, they are flamboyant where they're talking about the way other men look. People have to joke that the Ginyu Force were they swung both ways or whatever. I can't wait to do that video because I just like it when we write a script, like just I can think about my thoughts and why something bothers or offends me. Because like I said, every time I see someone on here saying improve your self work, it's always based around getting with a woman. They're never telling you this stuff because it's going to actually help you or do something for you. And it's like what what entitles chicks to these like extraneous steps, you know, when for the most part they have ignored you and acted like you didn't exist or have wasted your time. And when we know that if the roles were reversed, you would not see them being told to do any of this stuff to appeal to you. Like you have some people who say, "This man will never get a girlfriend because he doesn't have a car." You would never see someone tell a woman she would get a boyfriend because she doesn't have a car. You would never. Banana merchant won't go on a date with you because you don't have a car. You don't have a degree. Just I have seen them in real life at every bad state imaginable, whether they have a kid with another man, whether they've been to prison, and they always can find somebody in no matter what condition. And that's why when I see these people telling men to improve themselves and work, and it's like, dude, this is this is unbalanced in an almost like supernatural way because it's telling you that this triangle makes people automatically more important than you, as to where they're entitled to you doing all of these things to try and get with them, while none of them ever have to try to do anything to get with you ever. And that's what really pisses me off about it, just how imbalanced it is. Like, I expect some things to be unfair. Like, I don't expect chicks to approach because they're cowards, but it's like, even like just basic stuff they're not told to do. You will never see someone on this website, for as long as I post videos on here, say these women need to go to the gym to go on a date with Justin. These women need to have 2,000 or more subscribers to go on a date with, because they like that little stupid fame status nonsense, which is already like impractical advice because most people will never be famous. So, it's stupid. And it's horribly unfair. Oh, these men were able to get with these chicks these boys when I was in high school because they had more confidence. Like, yeah, you don't see people telling chicks about how much confidence they don't think they have, you know. Because again, they're accepted as just being who they are. Someone will like them for whatever they are. If they're not confident, it doesn't matter. If they can't read, it doesn't matter. If they don't own a bunch of money, it doesn't matter. Some man always shows up and just accepts them for whatever state that they're in. That's why it's really comical when you had this guy that came up with the Samus person talking about you need to lower your standards. I'm like, what standards? Like, how are you going to tell the person that's willing to date 90 plus people to lower their standards, but the chicks that aren't willing to date him, they can be content with their standards? Like, what is that? The person that accepts everybody for the most part has to lower his standards, but not the chicks that turn down so damn many men that they have entire groups. I'm not being able to get with the broad. Man, that's crazy. You see how that's like an oxymoron? Like, the person that accepts everybody needs to go even further down. The people that accept almost nobody, they need to go, like, just stay where they are or further up, or they can be content, like they can do what they do without issue. That is really nuts. Person asked me, "What do I think of superhero?" And some of the new Dragon Ball movie. I said, "Well, uh, again, the fact that they put out designs for Piccolo, Krillin, and Pan before any of the other returning major characters has me hoping that they'll actually play a big role in the movie. But if it's just going to be the same old Goku and Vegeta buddy cop, heterosexual life partners thing as every arc after the Boo saga in Super, you can have that. I'm not excited if that's what end up being. And I have no reason to not believe it won't, because every time they've done a movie, that's been the structure of it. Again, after Wrath of Dragon. So, like, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, Broly, just all of them. Goku and Vegeta, Goku and Vegeta, Goku and Vegeta. That's so damn perfect. You have a universe with dozens of characters you can use, technically universes, and you just use the same two over and over. You don't know makes this. Brandon, we've talked about this before, basic pattern recognition skills. If I can look at every film and arc that's been released since 2013 and point out a structure of these two characters being put in this exalted, redundant role of number one and number two, I can reasonably infer that the next thing that's released is going to be the same way. And I didn't claim to know. I said, if it is this way, which it's been in the past, any of recent past anyway, I am not excited. I'm just not going to set myself up for to get like gypped again, like with the Broly movie. It's like, oh wow, look at this new Saiyan that showed up in the film. I wonder who it is. Oh, It's the same one we saw in 3 other movies. Oh, wow! Look at this character poster for Piccolo. I wonder what his role. Oh, he's gonna just stand around and have like 2 or 3 scenes in the whole thing. Like, damn, we gotta come on here and give a plot summary for all this stuff. Let's do it. Let's do it. So for Battle of Gods, Beerus comes to Earth. He beats up Vegeta after Vegeta has like a little power boost thing. Then he fights Goku. Then Resurrection F. Vegeta fights first. And then, Goku fights, or Goku fights first, Vegeta fights first, whatever. The point is, it's still those two who fight the main villain, and one of them beats the main villain. And of course, it's usually Goku. Broly movie. Vegeta and Goku fight Broly. The same two as the other 2 movies, except this time there's the fusion that, already is kind of like whatever. So yeah, everything since Battle of Gods has had the 2 of them at the center of it. The only thing that wasn't that way was the Tournament of Power, because Vegeta was the longest lasting member of his universe. But in the manga, it's that way, where it's Vegeta and Goku that fight Jiren together. So yeah, I'm not excited. I see a basic pattern that this show is very repetitive in doing. They could literally make it any other character that they focus on. I would like it more than the other movies, because it would really be something different. That whole movie could just be Pan going to preschool, and I'd like it more than Battle of Gods and the other 2, because it would be something we haven't seen before. I remember I had this joke that in the Moro arc, it was going to be Piccolo that beat Moro, that he was going to turn giant and just smack up Moro, and that's going to be the arc, and he blows a beam through his chest. That would have been so much better than, let's have Goku beat the knife main villain in a row. But we'll make everybody put their hand up in the air to look like they did something. Dude, that arc, that really sealed the deal with, like, to hell with thinking they're going to actually use Vegeta to win ever, because if you read that arc from start to finish, at the beginning, it's Vegeta that says, I will surpass Goku and defeat Moro. And then he shows up, looks cool for like half a chapter, gets smacked up, then gets knocked out twice, and then has some little special group assist. But that was so lame. And people, like, every time a new chapter of Super comes up, that was so cool. This is the best chapter ever. 10 out of 10. The art was amazing. And I'm like, what the hell did you people read? Like, if you read some of the review, not watch the reviews, because the reviews tend to be better, like the videos people put out about this stuff. But if you read some of the things people write about these arcs, it really shows you it's not hard to impress these people. All you have to do is have 2 characters sit in some little desert area and throw some punches, and then make somebody's hair turn a different color, and they say it's good. Goku always defeats the villain in the most convoluted way. This is why I like GT better. I have more respect for GT because they were very upfront about their Goku bootlicking. Like, they don't have Vegeta training for 20 or 30 episodes just to get smacked up by whoever the main villain is, Like, they were very adamant about, like, this is the Goku Pan, and for the first part, Trunks shows, so get out of here with that. Chicks, 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 chicks. If people can come on here and call me rapist and all this other stuff, I can call women chicks. That's just how it is. Chicks, 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 chicks. Oh my God. And Vegeta actually defeated the villains he fought. Right, but you get my point that it's hard for me to get upset over something that the show doesn't set me up to believe. Like, the whole Moro arc is based around Vegeta wanting to become strong enough to protect Earth and also restore Namek after Moro destroyed it. And he says, I will defeat him. You have a whole chapter where he saves Goku and then has to, like, fight Moro, and he's beating him up, and then they bring some random new transformation out of their behind. And I'm like, this is This stuff pisses me off because the narrative lies to you. It looked like they were going to do something different for once, and they didn't. So after that, I said, "Yeah, this is kind of getting just like with the new chapter that came out a few days ago." Uh, he saves Goku like in the Moro arc, and now he's fighting the villain, and now he's got some new form. It's always some new thing, right? And if he doesn't win, then it's just going to be more of the same old stuff where it sets you up to think, "Oh my God, he's going to do it." But if you actually watch this show or read the comic, whatever, you know that it's just a waste of time. Yeah, GT doesn't set you up to think Vegeta's going to beat Omega Shenron by himself. It doesn't set you up to think he's going to beat Super 17. Nobody. I'd rather that than have this show play with me and have him train for 5, 10, 15 episodes just to get slapped up. No, that show has all kind of repetitiveness to it. I think Dragon Ball might actually be like a contender for the most like bore. Like I sometimes really do question why I like this series, and I go back and rewatch the original and see like, oh yeah, because of that. And then it's like, well, now I know what the problem is. It's the same thing every arc at this point, anyway. You know what I think is funny that like they'll say, "Oh, I like this in Super because it's different," but then they'll also say in defense of Goku beating all the main villains, "Oh, he always used to do that." So it's like, how do you say you want it to change or you like something because it's different, but then you also defend something on the basis of it being the same as it ever was? They made it very clear that Omega Shenron was powerful, that not even Super Saiyan 4 Goku could defeat him alone. Yeah, I think they really did drop the ball on just the Shadow Dragon story in general, but I do appreciate that they didn't try to like trick you into thinking, "Oh, Vegeta has some new power up and he's going to defeat the Dragon." Now, somebody really does need to write like a rewrite of that arc where all the Shadow Dragons have a different 1v1 with different Z fighter. Because some of the characters in that show never got to fight anybody. Actually, most of the characters in that show never got to fight anybody. Tien and Yamcha didn't even get a line, which is nuts to me. It's like, how do you go from being these very important characters during the original and then to an extent in Z as well, and then just completely like you say nothing? And then when I think of that, it's like, you contrast it with Super. It's like in that show, Tien gets defeated by Beerus in like what, one punch. Then he's in the Tournament of Power, and he doesn't even join because Goku went looking for him. He joined because Goku went looking for Roshi, who Tien is supposed to be stronger than. And I was like, oh yeah, Tien's also here, and that's after the Resurrection F stuff where he didn't even get to fight anybody of noteworthiness anyway. So one shotted by Beerus, he gets to fight some grunts that nobody cares about, and then he is like eliminated in the tournament in like what, 5, 6, 7 episodes after not getting rid of anybody, or rather eliminating one person along with himself. Then he's not in the Broly movie. It's like then he's in the Moro arc where he gets to have like I think half a chapter to fight somebody. I just know that it was him, Shiatsu, and Yamcha that were fighting this lizard Moro minion, and like they couldn't even beat him with the three of them together because Goku just shows up and one shots this. I was like, man, this is so lame. But when I think about it, it's like, has Super done anything with this character that I remotely think is interesting? No. It's not because they couldn't, they just don't want to. Like as much as I don't like a lot of the Moro arc, they at least tried to do some world building with with Boo, like revealing more about his past as well as him being the catalyst for the arc to start and having a fight with Moro and switching back and forth between him, him and the Daikai. Like, that's why his role in that arc pisses me off because I think he would have made a really interesting protagonist and they just have him go to sleep for most of it. They did the same thing twice where like during the Term of the Power, then during the Moro arc, it's one fight, then go to sleep. And people have the nerve to say Super is not redundant. That it's not the same thing happening over and over again. Oh my god. Yeah, I would rather watch Pan and Trunks teaming up to defeat a Shadow Dragon. Exactly. I don't even think Pan gets to beat anybody in that show. Like that's why some people call her a damsel in distress. But I still prefer that to a character that trains and then they don't even actually do anything to beat the main antagonist. But nobody's talking about Cell. I'm talking about Super. That's in Z. The only thing that was different about the Goku Black arc is that they had a screwed up, terrible, what the hell is this ending where instead of the heroes defeating the villain, which I think should be the end result of every arc that, good triumphs over evil, they have the villain destroy the entire timeline, which means everything that Trunks did in the Cell Saga and also in the Goku Black arc to save his timeline was for nothing. So like it retroactively made a character who had a pretty perfect ending in Z now just null and void. And then, let's not even forget the stupid. So I like Goku Black as a character. I find like, mortals and evil, but his origin is one of the dumbest I have ever heard of. He gets created because Goku encounters Zamasu. They have this fight, and then Zamasu goes to like learn about him and steals his body. But Goku only met Zamasu because he was looking for information on Goku Black. So it's a time paradox where he exists because a version of him existed that caused Goku to meet Zamasu. So it's like this really weird. How does that even work? Where he can't have an origin if he already existed without the origin. And then they have the nerve to have Vegeta train to go fight Goku Black, right? And then he's beating him up, and you go, "Oh my God, Vegeta's gonna beat. It's gonna be a good Vegeta beating up an evil Goku. I can't." And then instead of having Vegeta just kill Goku Black, and that's the end of the arc, and then have Trunks seal future Zamasu in the Mafuba. They have Goku Black and Zamasu fuse to form one of the nastiest looking fusions I've ever seen in my life. And again, robbed Vegeta of a victory over a main antagonist. Again. That was not different at all. I can find multiple. The only thing that was different was that ending. No, the Goku Black's arc's pacing, I don't really have like in comparison with the Goku Black arc in the show is 20 episodes. Just as a comparison, the Tournament of Power is over 50, so I don't have a problem with its pacing. I don't think they stretched it at all. I'm just saying that that's another example of, yeah, it might be different in terms of its ending, but the same like basic story beats are just kept in repetition. Techniques that are there to do nothing except waste people's time, like the Mafuba, a fusion that just stalls things and doesn't actually get anything done, except give us one of the worst endings ever. Like they made Zamasu turn to a claw. Like, what the hell is that? Goku Black and Zamasu are possibly the dumbest one. I don't feel that way about Goku Black. I'm pissed off over the fact that we barely see him in his own arc because I did a video about how he was wasted and I talked about he disappears for like multiple episodes and there's no one in the future timeline for him to really interact with before they go back there, for the first time with Goku and Vegeta. So he's like a side character in his own story. It's really crazy. And then they shove in this other character that's supposed to be him in his original version that they just like kill off, It's goofy to me. The ending of that arc was probably one of the corniest ones I've seen. They just granted Trunks with random. No, they stuck him in a timeline that is a duplicate of his own, so now he can buddy around with an alternate version of himself. Again, they completely destroyed that character's ending in Z for an arc where they have a villain that created himself and a villain that has one of the ugliest looking fusions I've ever seen, where it's so lazy. They took Zamasu's face and stuck Goku's hair on it, colored it white, and now he's he's Zamasu. Oh my! And then they had him melt, and I was like, "What? Yeah, I'm good." Then they have Vegito show up for a cameo. They retcon the like fusion. I already didn't like, but I did think that having a fusion where you could become permanently attached to the person was like it added some stakes, like some semblance of consequence. They retconned it. Like, oh, if you're not a Kaioshin and you use the Patara earrings, then the fusion isn't permanent. Then what the hell's the point of using this fusion over the other one? You can tell they're just milking the show for money at this point. Yeah, but that's why I said this is not about trying to tell a good story that moves the characters in a direction we've never seen before. This is just trying to make some money off of some stupid toys and having some writers that are either past their prime like Toriyama or someone who doesn't know what the hell they're doing ever like Toyotaro. So pick your poison. I'm still laughing at the guy that was talking about the Broly movie. He was like, I like the original Broly before he had purple pants and the girlfriend. I'm just imagining he sees the like first leaked picture of Broly from that movie with the purple pants. Like, no, I can't do this. Trying to make him look like the Hulk, who is a much better character, by the way. No, Super is just. Somebody needs to make like a super arc outline where like they just graph all the different thing, all the like different arcs and all the things they have in common with each other. I remember when the Universe 6 tournament happened, and I saw that poster with Piccolo and Boo on there, and I was so excited for them to fight. And then Boo doesn't even get to fight because I guess he failed at something stupid. And then Piccolo gets one fight where he gets cheated, and then he can't even beat the person that cheated him, so they can suck off Vegeta. The only fight in that whole arc that was worth the piss was the one against Kaba, because that actually has like I thought they were gonna do something interesting with Vegeta's character, but they never followed up on it. And then like the Goku versus Hit one in the manga, because in the show it doesn't make any sense. Are they talking about Sheila and Broly and Super is probably one of the well developed characters in the entirety of Super? We know that's a very low bar, right? That's like being in some kind of like remedial class. Like he has the highest D plus out of anybody in here. Or being in detention, he's like, everyone else in here's had 100 days in detention this school year, but not you. You had 99. Again, I don't have a problem with the character. Like that what someone else said. I don't really care. But Broly is probably the smallest issue I have with that film. That show is just every time a new chapter comes out and people start sucking it off. I'm like, what are they seeing that I don't understand? Like I read the last one because I was mostly just ignoring the granola arc. I read the first chapter of it, and then I think the one after that, then like ignored it for 4 or 5 months, and then I read the new one, and I go on Twitter, like, okay, well, this was kind of boring. I mean, it's just a fight between a character that always loses and a new character that they're probably not done sucking off yet. And then it's like, oh, this was an amazing chapter. Look at these panels. Look at this dialogue. Look at Vegeta using psychology. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. So you guys can have this story. No, I think I finally learned my lesson with like getting my hopes up for Dragon Ball after the Moro arc. That was the like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because they spent months and months building up Vegeta. That was 9 months, like 9 chapters of oh my god, Vegeta's training. I wonder what this is gonna do. And I'm like, if I really think about it, because it goes back to think of how, yeah, it's repetitive, but there are sometimes different things a little bit. I don't think there's ever been an arc where they just have Vegeta training for that damn long. Like for literally half the arc, he's just in training. And that's why it pissed me off that you would spend such a disproportionate amount of time on this character training just for him to get destroyed after like a decent showing for a little bit. It's stupid to me. That's why with at least with the Cell Saga, and even though Goku doesn't defeat Cell, it's left on a note that to where a lot of people think he could have beaten him, and it doesn't. When Gohan is able to do it, it doesn't feel like it's out of nowhere because literally from the beginning of Z, that was foreshadowed him getting strong enough to take out one of these powerful foes in place of his dad. Like the buildup on that was insane compared to the stuff you see in Super, where everything is like just written episode by episode. There's no like long-term story that's plotted out. The low standards the fans have for a good story is amazing too. Yeah, it's scary too. Like the only thing in Super, only two things in Super that are paid off are Frieza coming back, because that for the tournament, because that's like built up or that is set up in Resurrection F, even though ironically enough, that wasn't what they originally intended. Toriyama suggested to have Boo replaced by Frieza. Like, so that wasn't even a thing. That they really were just going to have Frieza show up once, and then he gets this new form and gets blown up, and that's it. And then the Tournament of Power, because that was talked about at the end of the Universe 6 tournament. Those are the only two things that have any organic storytelling. Everything else just happens out of nowhere. The low standards the fans have for a good story is amazing to me. That's why I'm like really disturbed by just all you have to do is have a new villain who doesn't have to be good, because a lot of even people that like the Moro arc admit Moro is a very bland, boring character. And then give one of the characters a transformation, which even if it wins or loses, they still like anyway. Because I said before, Ultra Instinct is probably the biggest failure out of any of these forms besides maybe Super Saiyan 3. And it's, still like well liked and thought of as being so amazing. And oh my God, look, he's dodging. It's, just it's very bland. It's repetitive. It's disturbing to me that, people just, they don't care. As long as it's new Dragon Ball stuff, they'll suck it off. I mentioned before, I had a guy on Twitter, not Twitter, on Discord, who told me that he only likes Super because it gives him new DB content, as he said, even though we had new Dragon Ball games literally every single year for 20 years. Between when the manga, when GT ended and when not when GT ended, but when Z ended and when Super started. So like for a franchise that didn't have any new material being made for it, there was a lot of as far as like new stories, there was a lot of new material rather. As far as just games and merchandise and all kind of stuff. Like even when Dragon Ball was dead, it wasn't. Like somebody could really make a calendar of like a timeline of Dragon Ball, like real life releases, and you could actually find like either a game or a movie that came out every year between whenever the manga ended was like 94, 95 to when Super started. That's a very low bar. The writers clearly don't care about consistencies in power and scale. All the gains in power that characters are solely to drive the story forward, make the villains look OP. Let's not forget Android 17, a guy that's weaker than First Form Cell, ends up being able to fight Super Saiyan Blue and Jiren uh, because he trained in the woods with poachers that weren't even strong enough to beat Kid Goku from the original Dragon Ball. I tell you, when I saw that, I just knew that from this point forward, anytime they want to bring back a character and have them be strong out of nowhere, they're just going to do that. They're just going to have like some really half baked, almost no explanation for this massive growth in power. And one of the things that really pisses me off is that Dragon Ball as a story has so many outs for characters to get very strong in short amount of times. Like they could have had a training arc of 17 in the time chamber. They could have had 17 train with Beerus. Like it was not necessary, other than just being garbage writers, to have this character that again is weaker than first form Cell now be able to out of nowhere fight Super Saiyan 3 and Blue and all this. God, that actually could have been a decent narrative device of having 17 train to like foreshadow his importance in the tournament, you know. But instead, we get like 2 episodes of him with Goku, and the first one's pretty good. The second one's kind of goofy, where they're like stopping some space alien or whatever. Oh my god. You get the idea, Banana, that like with this show, you give these examples of other things the writers could have done that are set up by their own story, and they just are like, nah, we're gonna be lazy and just have 17 be this strong just because we feel like it. We don't have to make sense. We know our fans will accept anything. This guy he was talking about the MCU, and he said those movies are the perfect example of what people mean when they say that sometimes writers cannot win. Like I don't people probably know what I'm talking about, but it's like if you have a writer who sees people criticize, even if they like it, right, aspects of their work, and then they try to rectify it by doing something different. That even people who criticize them in the past for that mistake will say, yeah, they corrected it, and then they either dislike the new thing that has the corrections made to it even more than the old thing. And I'll read your comment in a moment, Banana, but you get the idea because this guy was saying that like with Iron Man 2, that was criticized for setting up Avengers by having Black Widow and Nick Fury in it, a villain that wasn't really that explored. Like those were some of the criticisms of that movie. And then for the third one, they get rid of anyone that's not an Iron Man character. And then you have people that don't like either one of them, and then you have people who like the second one more than the third one, or people that like the third one. So you get the idea that they actively try to address criticisms made of the film before in the one after that sequel, and then they still got people who don't like either one of them. So if you don't address my criticisms, it's bad. If you do address them, it's still as bad. So like, all right, whatever. Okay, our House Super Saiyan 3 Goku was supposed to be strong enough to defeat Majin Buu, who's stronger than the Kai, but he gets smacked around by Beerus just to make him look cool. Well, that's the Worf effect, and that's why I've always had a problem with Super Saiyan 3, because that form's existence already makes Goku look like an idiot and a really terrible person for um, caring so much about Vegeta's pride that he would drag out a fight with him in Super Saiyan 2 as to not reveal his form that could have possibly saved the entire world by going and killing Babidi and Dabura very quickly, or getting rid of them or defeating them or whatever. Um, then it's like used to make Kid Buu look strong and Super Buu. Well, not Super Buu because it doesn't fight, but to make Kid Buu look strong. Uh, it's just it really is the first Super Saiyan form that I'm like, what's the point? It's the first one we don't see a character that is the first one to discover it gain on screen. Goku just gets it at some point while he's training in Otherworld. Like I said, the Buu Saga, I could do a whole 5-hour review of why that thing has a lot of problems in it, but I have the space in my computer and I don't want to sit there and make hour-long videos to get 5 views, so or less than 100 views. But Banana, did you see what I was saying about how with writing there are a lot of things where you can't win? Like for Avengers, people, even ones who like that film or love it, insist that Hawkeye was wasted as far as being hypnotized or brainwashed for most of it. So in the second one, they give him a lot to do, and he's actually the only character who doesn't get brainwashed out of anybody. Um, and then there are people who still, don't like the second one. So it's like, wow, they really can't win. These writers, like if they try to address criticisms that people have, they still have the naysayers. He gets the form, and the same episode becomes completely useless. This is a common trend even in Super. Yeah, but it was most common in Super, is my point. Like all those different forms that are between Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, those are narrative tools that show us things about power, like that big buff form that Trunks had. When he was fighting Perfect Cell, that's supposed to tell us about how you need more than power to just win a fight. Because Cell admits that form is stronger than him. And again, it's all setting up Super Saiyan 2, but like, you know, Super Saiyan God, it's used for one fight, and then it just vanishes pretty much from the entire story, other than like a few cameos. Blue is basically just Super Saiyan with the hair color change. Um, and then Ultra Instinct is just, it was again like I don't see the purposes of these new forms other than to just make characters who are already stronger than the rest of the cast be put on this even bigger pedestal. Like that's what all the forms after Super Saiyan 2 feel like to me. Other than 4, because that has like a whole setup about, and it actually is shown to lose it a few times. So yeah, out of all the forms, the only one that's probably worth a damn story wise after 2 is probably 4. Because GT really liked to give its form, like that was the GT form. That was the thing that they introduced and they kept it. No Super Saiyan 5. No, oh here's 4 Max. No, they said here's the ultimate form. We're gonna have this be a part of the story. You know, they stuck to their guns about making that one stick around and last. And yeah, these critics don't know what they want. It's just really disturbing because a lot of that stuff, if you think about it, can make you as a writer become sort of cynical. Like if you genuinely get to a headspace of nothing I write is infallible and I'm gonna get criticized no matter what, so I even try, that stuff can really like drive you crazy. And that's why I'm kind of the belief that if you want to tell a story, you shouldn't really care what people think about it because you'll always like I saw a guy on this one podcast talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender season 1 sucks. Like, just it's another example of how you'll always have people that even with stuff that's acclaimed, they talk trash about it. They pretend that it's this god awful thing. Um, and there's a big difference between not liking something and then like going out of your way to try and convince the world that it's the worst thing ever. Um, I give the example of how I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but you would never see me make like movie reviews or book reviews of why this is bad and why people were conned and tricked. Because that's something that a lot of people in here like to do. And it's just I don't think very healthy sometimes to if you're a writer to watch these reviews because they can really convince you that why should you even listen to criticism if there's always going to be critiques no matter what you do? Because I've seen that with film reviews where some people criticize the movie for being too serious, some will criticize it for being too comical. It's like, wow, you can't win. I'm convinced that a lot of people don't care about good stories. They just want to trash talk something to feel good about themselves or just to get attention on the internet. And it sucks too because a lot of stuff that I criticize, I like. I would still say that I have my criticisms of the Boo saga, but I tend to be more inclined to say I like it than not because there are a lot of things I think are really good about it. And you know, when I give examples of other stories that I'm very content with in the same series, it's supposed to infer to you that I'm not a hard person to please if, things are done in my view correctly, which was done repeatedly before, you know, that arc. Um, but just to give you an example of like people always wanting to trash talk something, there was a person that did a review of. They didn't do a review, but they did a video talking kind of like about the MCU, and they said that they liked Infinity War or thought it was okay, but they didn't like how there were jokes in the film at Syria. And I'm like, if the film didn't have any jokes, or if it had very few jokes, people would say it takes itself too seriously. So it's like, you can because I've seen those criticisms made toward works that don't like with a lot of the DCEU, right? Man of Steel, for example. People said no one smiles, nobody makes jokes. So how do you criticize something for not making jokes or not being funny, whatever, and then something else tries to be funny while also having this like serious undertone, and then it's you know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing you can do because people will always be picking at different things to try and complain about it or to have an issue. No, I thought Infinity War was great. That's one of I think three superhero movies ever where the villain has more screen time than the heroes. See, that's actually another thing that I always remember that with a lot of these different films, people would say, "Oh, this villain is underdeveloped." Like with Iron Man 2, "Oh, Whiplash doesn't get to do it." It's like, but then you have movies where the villain is developed, and then you either complain that they're taking away too much from the protagonist, or you say that they're hogging. Like you, you cannot win with these people. You know what I'm saying, right? That either they say the villain's underdeveloped because they don't show up that often, or they say the villain is getting too much screen time in comparison with the hero, or they're hogging the spotlight, or something like that. Oh, we viewership went up by like 2 people. I'm so proud of myself. I'm gonna give me a pound in the back when the stream is over. I'm telling you, when you watch enough of these reviews, it does start to get you to kind of believe that, yeah, maybe there is no such thing as a good story if even things that are acclaimed or held up for I think are very solid reasons can just be nitpicked to death. Um, it's just really sad. Not that people don't like something you like, but that if you watch enough of these reviews, you will start to kind of say, well, I guess making a story is more trouble than it's worth because there's a lot of second guessing involved when you see these people that either say something's too dark, something's too light, something, just or they speak in nebulous terms. Oh, this character is annoying. Well, how are they annoying? And they show like one scene, and that's how the characters went in like that one scene. So the whole character is annoying. Or this one guy when he was talking about Age of Ultron was like, Ultron did not look strong. I was like, what does that even mean? And then he was like, you know exactly what I mean. It's like, sir, if I ask you what does that mean, that means I don't agree with you. And it's on you to explain to expand upon your position so I can understand where you're coming from. You write for you, not for them, or it won't be original or yours. Well, no one is saying you don't write for yourself, but if you put this stuff out to the public, I would assume you want other people to, you do that because you hope that other people will like it or at least find some enjoyment out of what you have created. So if you know that people can criticize something over many different ideas or ways of telling the story, it becomes harder to understand what you can do to make it decent. So it's not about writing for someone else. It's simply trying to understand how much criticism is indicative of like what people want, and then how much of it is just, yeah, we can't be pleased no matter what. And that's kind of just my biggest thing, that when you put things online or just in the public, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Um, Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. What I'm saying is, you have some of these people who will say parts of what they like, but they'll also criticize things, and then they'll have other things that they criticize for doing the things they want, but in some different medium. That's why I gave the example of how with a lot of movies that are in the superhero genre, they'll say this villain is underdeveloped, but then I've also seen them criticize other ones where the villain gets as much development or screen time as the protagonist, and they'll say that they've made the hero a side story in their own movie, or just some example of how they'll criticize it one way if it's too little, and then they'll criticize it one way if it's too much. That you can never find the balance because they're just constantly complaining about things that are different from each other. There's a big difference between someone getting as much screen time as the supposed main character if they're the antagonist, and then also not getting that much. So it depends on who it is if it's constructive. The point I was making is that it's all over the place. This character did not, this villain did not look strong. What does that even mean? You know exactly what I mean. I was like, what the hell? I mean, if someone says a character is not strong and you ask them, what does that mean? Evidently, you don't agree with them because to you they looked imposing. There's a scene during Age of Ultron where all the Avengers get smacked up by Ultron and the twins, and then that was strong to me. I don't know. I don't think Ultron works well for one movie. I think they did a decent job with him, but I like that character when he's like an overarching threat. Like you could really make two films about Ultron that would, I think, have more of an effect. And what he did already did have an effect, because it's because of the final fight during that film that Civil War happens. He's the only villain to permanently kill an Avenger, so there's a lot of merit to his evil fault finding. Yeah, pretty much. They go and look for any issue they can possibly have, and it becomes even more irritating when uh, they've criticized something in the past for a reason, and that reason is no longer there, so they just look for another thing to complain about. That's why I said that I get to a point where the criticism just you start to get numb to it, because you know that no matter what you make, someone will have a problem with it. That's why I made the video. I've been criticized for everything. I show all the screenshots. I have people talking about, you shouldn't wear glasses. You shouldn't wear. I was like, man, this isn't a fashion show. I'm talking about something. Why get bogged down on stuff that doesn't matter? But to them, that matters. So they feel the need to nitpick away at somebody's appearance for their, I guess, their enjoyment. But again, when stuff like that happens, it's like the Streisand effect, where they don't actually cause you to change. They make it to where now you're resistant to any type of critique they have. Like even if they say something legitimate, you're just like, get out of here. Like it's too bad that these people just acted like complete clowns that are contrarians that had an issue with everything. So now nothing they say is taken seriously. That video is really disturbing to me as far as the subject matter because it does illustrate that even things you would never like if I turn on a camera and do a video, I'm not anticipating a clothes review by somebody on the computer, but that's why it's disturbing that they get caught up on things that you wouldn't even think about because it's not relevant to what's being discussed. No, it's not cool. Carrie, I have to disagree. When you say stuff like that, I'm reminded of why the only Carrie I like is Jim Carrey. You try to say that was cool. All this harassment and attempted cyberbullying. The banana merchant leave? I think he did. Oh, I thought you were saying it's cool that they do it. I was about to have to walk away. I remember this one guy was doing a stream and he was talking to this. It was some commentator, and he got so irritated with her, he actually got up and left his set. So he left like his chair and his camera just sitting there. Like you could see him physically get up and walk into another room. And I just thought that was funny that he just like left this person. Because there are interviews where people will storm off the set when they get enraged or don't want to talk about something anymore. And he just got so mad that he actually basically did that at his own house. A bunch of goofball contrarians who find issue with anything they don't like because they don't have the capacity to talk about real issues. Yeah, but that's why I gave the example of the guy with that movie, because sometimes they say things you don't even understand because it's like it's very vague. And I think when people speak, they should say things that we actually understand what they're talking about. If I tell you that I don't like a story because the writing is poor, that doesn't explain to you what is wrong with the writing. You see what I'm saying? That makes you have to wonder, was he talking about this? He talking about that? Like you have to basically fill in the blanks about my vague opinion. They try to drag you down and beat you with experience. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where at some point you just have to accept that people have a problem with everything. Hey, remember they like to say you're part of the you know what pill if you think this doesn't matter. It's like I'm just talking about how I've watched people when they review things get mad at something for one problem that's not in another film or show or whatever, and then they still complain about something else in that different story. So it's like they just always find a problem. That's one of the reasons I don't really like the political left, because they always like have an issue with somebody. Whether it's a politician or a commentator, and I'm not someone who just throws somebody out because they did one thing I don't like. That's how a lot of people are with stuff that is in entertainment as well. That it'll have a problem they don't like, or something they don't like, and then now it's bad. Nah, Banana, the left, right, where they have like, it's so weird that people try to label you. Yeah. And, I just view chicks the same way I view anything that doesn't go anywhere, as a waste of time. Like if I asked chicks on a date and they said yes, I would not believe it was a waste of time. Well, they said yes and actually did it, because we got to remember what happened in May. I would actually, believe that there was a chance of that stuff happening. But I'm just simply looking at them the same way I do anything else that doesn't work. And again, for whatever reason, because they're part of like a weird protected class online, people, they throw that label on you. When if I say, like, for example, I'm going to make a show and it's probably not going to get, I don't know, 1,000 views every episode, based off of my experiences, right? Nobody's going to say you're an I word or you've been pilled on the prospect, because no, like having views where you think something's not going to happen is accepted on other topics. It's only with chicks that people like, they have to shield them by coining these terms that are designed to, demoralize you and treat you like you're an antagonist. And again, it's all part of a plot to not actually listen to what's being said because people throw that word around like candy online, and there are buzzwords and terms that no one in real life uses because if you did, you'd look like a lunatic. Yeah, and that's why the chick stuff, like for as long as I can remember, men complained about broads. Like I remember my dad complaining about my mother. I remember like guys that when I was in middle school and high school talking about, oh, she looked at me and I thought she liked me, and it's like no one ever called them pills or like I didn't hear about any of these stupid terms until like 2 or 3 years ago. Like issues with chicks have gone on since presumably the dawn of time, but it's only with the computers that people are now trying to like make you villainous for criticizing them. It's really weird. Like I've seen chicks in real life talk trash about men for as long as I can remember. Oh, he cheated on me. Oh, he said this but didn't do it. Like no one to this day calls them part of a group that they didn't sign up for. No one says they took a pill. I remember one chick I went to high school with who said on I think it was Twitter that she was going to be single forever, right? Even back at a time where I didn't believe that would be the case for me because this is back when I was like 15, so I was a lot more optimistic about this stuff. But no one said she was eating pills or part of the involuntary group. Like it was so weird how like all of these terms started coming around. Like people can't even express anything anymore, especially if you're a man, without being assigned to some, team. It's really weird and disturbing. Seriously, you go to any random group of guys in public and start talking about I words and red pills, and they'll most likely look at you like you have three heads. Yeah, no, like, dude, nobody I've met in real life, out of all the high schools I went to, out of the middle schools, or I guess the preschool and middle school I went to, no one at any of these schools talks like this. I've never seen anyone in real life talk about pills. I've never seen anybody in real life talk about the I word. The only thing in real life that I've seen that's on the computer is men talk about how hard it is to get a date, which is why I don't like that stupid term because it's taking a label that is considered bad because people use to insult somebody and trying to like shove everyone that has a problem with the broad in a box. Nobody in real life talks like this. I have never seen a single individual that I have encountered in real life use the I word or talk about pills. Not once. It's only these computer people using all these damn buzzwords. That's why I don't like people that are like mostly online because they have. I think a lot of them do think these groups are and these terms are like common lingo, and they're really not. I also should mention that what I find most disturbing is that a lot of these people that use these terms, um, they're like individuals that are either chicks or are like men that aren't straight or don't care about getting any with anyone who like sit online and look into these communities. Like they have like such nothing to do with their lives that they actually look into what they call like deep corners of men's disillusionment. Which and I'm like, I've had this issue, but I don't go investigating it. Like, just they're way more into because for them it's like fun, like a hobby. Like, oh, let me just go look at these different guys suffering. This is real fun to watch. People don't even talk about romance the same in real life. I usually have more productive conversation about romance when I'm speaking to someone in person. Yeah, me too. It's again these computer people are the ones that are writing that if you have a problem with a chick, you need to get mental help and you're gonna rape someone and blow up a building and all this other stupid stuff. And then when they write that and they get banned, oh, my free speech has been taken away from me. Oh, I'm being censored. It's like you come here to antagonize somebody that has never done anything to you to prop up chicks as these like deciders of who's a person of great morale, even though we've seen chicks date rapists and murderers and all these other people that are bad. Uh, And it's like you don't see where somebody would want to get rid of you, where like what you're writing is not productive, where what you're writing is actually really toxic because it's inferring that if someone happens to have a triangle between their legs, they're such a moral person that being with them indicates you're good and being without them indicates you're bad, even though we've seen multiple people in history that are bad with a broad. Yeah, because in their mind, if I can't get a girlfriend, so can you. So put in work. Yeah. Put in work for a bunch of people that won't lift a goddamn finger to try and get with you ever. Told you I could have a million subscribers and you would never see somebody tell a woman she needs to have status or go to the gym every day or run 300 no do 500 push-ups so that no one would tell her to do any of that trash to get with me. Because if someone talked to me the way these people online talk about romance, I'd be wondering if they broke out of the asylum and I'm about to be a murder victim. I do think a lot of those guys are mentally ill. Like just in attempting to interact with them, I think a lot of them have mental problems. I'm not saying that to be funny. Listen, I don't use someone's romantic status to indicate that because there are people who are like married to someone they're mentally ill. I'm talking about when you read what they write and like the way they respond by not responding. It's like you're either a troll or there's like actually something wrong with you. Like the guy that said do the 500 push-ups. My mod asked him, "Why don't you address what I say in videos when you write a comment?" He responds by talking about my face being overweight and he needs to cut up. And it's like you completely sidestep a question you're asked in text, meaning that there's no way you could have misheard it, to like talk trash about the way a person you want to take your advice looks, and then you're surprised when you get banned. And it's the same thing with that Gerds person. It's like on stream after stream, I talk about not wanting to be with a woman who likes me for what I own. And then his response to, "Oh, look, you should try sugar dating, where a woman is with a man because of what he owns." But then when these people get banned, we're being censored. Help! So yeah, I think something is wrong with a lot of these men that give this advice. I think they're mentally ill. I think they're very weird. I think there's like a homoerotic subtext to what they're trying to do. Because like I said, it doesn't make sense for a man to say, "Here's why I'm not interested in talking to chicks," and then it's a bunch of men who are upset with him for not talking to chicks. If a woman did a video about why she doesn't want to talk to men anymore, and then it's women getting upset at her and calling her ugly, that would be weird too, unless they're gay. So they're a really strange group of people. I tell them people get online, they feel so powerful. And really, I think the lesson here is that you can't take people seriously, right, about a lot of this stuff because when we come online, a lot of us do play a character, but you have to always remember that out of all these guys that talk about how easy it is to get with the broad, none of them ever show they're with anybody. Out of all these guys talk about you need to improve your physique and all of it, none of them ever show that they have muscles. I think that's really important to consider. Yeah, but you see women putting down another woman because of their looks. In fact, it's the opposite. Well, see, that's why I said everything is geared towards because like let's pretend things are reversed, right? And Brandon is a woman. Let's just as an example. And people are saying men are handsome in their own way, and all men are handsome and all this other stuff, right? And they're telling Brandon, if you want to get with the man, again, Brandon this scenario is a woman, you need to go to the gym and you need to work on yourself and have status and fame and also do this and that. And Brandon's like, wait a second, so I have to do all this stuff as a woman in this hypothetical reverse gender scenario to possibly get a date with the man who, if he rejects me, I'm going to get blamed for getting rejected by. And if I reject men that approach me, I would get blamed for rejecting them. So I would get blamed that, if I reject or if I'm rejected, it's always my fault as the woman. And then I have to do all this stuff to appeal to the man, but he doesn't have to do anything to appeal to me other than have a banana. Like, you see how it would, in a scenario like that, would it really be considered strange for women to look at that and say, yeah, this is not at all appealing and kind of not interesting at all? Women always say height doesn't matter, but always get men that's taller than an average man. Well, I told you, people on this website love to ask the same like 5 or 6 stupid questions over and over. How tall are you? How tall are you? How tall are you? How tall are you? And if you get tired of answering the same stupid question over and over, you're probably 4'1", you're probably 3'2", you're probably 2'6". It's like, maybe I just don't want to answer this. Like, if somebody on my stream kept asking what blood type I'm, and I would say, oh, right, for the first time. What's your blood type? Oh, what's your blood type? I was like, okay. After a while, I was like, yeah, I'm done answering this, because the point of answering a question is so the information is out there, not so that you can keep being asked the same thing ad nauseum. They don't say that. They just say be taller than them at whatever height. Dude, I've never seen a woman get rejected because she was 5'3" or 5'2" or 5'4". Dude, it's like short chicks get accepted and tall chicks too. Like, I don't, that's why I said that, like, every time there's a trait of men, or like a trait on a man that people say is unattractive. If it's the reverse gender, nobody cares. I'm just saying, a lot of that chick stuff really does have you shaking your head. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm gonna talk to this woman for 2 or 3 months. Ask her on a date, she's gonna say, I just want to be friends, or I'm not interested, and then we're gonna start the same cycle again. Tall chicks still get guys, they just complain about them not being good enough or short. Like I said, every issue that people have with the appearance of men, you can find with the appearance of chicks, and they don't get in trouble for any of it. And even do drugs to orderly sleep with bad women. These people really don't understand how crazy they look when they do this. Yeah. Um, that's why I said a lot of the commentary on this topic, just especially if it's by these types of men and then some of these chicks, is really useless. Like, I don't think it's helpful to start promising a Disney scenario, which is what these people do. Oh, the right one will come along, your soulmate, the chosen one. And I also don't think it's helpful to sit here and trash talk someone's appearance ad nauseum. Like, when you're a man and you have to call another man ugly to justify them not getting a girlfriend, as if all these chicks are, and that's what also drives me crazy, because in real life, when I would talk to other guys, they would, like, all the time they would say this woman's ugly, that woman is unattractive. But like online, people use their like imagination of the hottest chick ever, right? Hottest woman they can think of, right? Which is different for everybody because we have different tastes, but their hottest broad ever they imagine, and they put you as a man up against their idea of this hot, amazing broad, and then they're surprised when you can't live up to their unrealistic fantasy. Because if you have to get a 6-pack to go on a date with someone that's 300 pounds just because she has a triangle, people don't see where something's wrong with that. If you have to be a millionaire to go on a date with someone who doesn't have a pot to piss in, people don't see what's wrong with that. But that's why I said they use their idealized version of a broad to beat you over the head. Like, they're imagining this beautiful broad, and they're using their imagination to say, oh yeah, you're not good enough. It's like, good enough for what? Oh, my idea of a woman. Because for all they know, um, just another example, you could go on a date with someone that does, like let's say you have a, I don't know, a Lamborghini. This woman doesn't even have a car, and but she's out of your league. And like I said, man, you would never see somebody say I'm out of a woman's league because they think I'm pretty, and she and like this and use that to like discount all the stuff that she owns. Like there are men that are insane enough to say a woman that doesn't own anything other than what's in between her legs is better than you, even if you had like a mansion or whatever sports car they think is amazing. But you would never see that the other way around. Like even with chicks, they would never tell another woman, "This man is too good for you. This man doesn't know anything is too good for you because we think he's hot." Would never happen. That's why I said that like people take, and it's weird too because there are literally thousands of chicks that people think are good looking. So it's like it's so weird that they use this very common trait and try to like get around all this stuff. Having a baby by a woman is the new marriage all these days now. Dude, I was gonna make a video about how in real life I've seen 6 or 7 different instances of a woman having a kid with the man they're not married to, and I can literally only think of um one time I've actually seen, like maybe twice, I've seen people get married now. Like all they do is either have a kid with someone and then like if they stay with that person, they never get married, or they go and date somebody else and then have these broken homes. Like it's really pathetic. And that's why when people put chicks on a pedestal, it drives me crazy because they're literally the 50% of why you have all these damn broken homes, and nobody ever says, yeah, maybe they don't make the best decisions in terms of who they date. Then there are those people who will try to tell you what you should be attracted to and get really mad when your standards of beauty don't match with theirs. I had somebody on my video call me racist because I said I wanted to my preference was to date someone that was black, even though we can prove that most people date someone from their own ethnicity. I didn't even say I was against, because there are people that are against dating other races. I was like, I don't care. I just have a preference. Tell you, the internet's the only place where they can make normal things look strange. Like I said, I want more subscribers. I said I want more people to watch my video. More people comment. So only online are like normal things that a lot of people would want if they're in your field are like bad. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, putting you in a box of levels or leagues. Let me tell you something. I'm not a prick, so I have never told another, because I don't examine men's appearances. I have never told another man that a woman is not good enough, that he's not good enough for a woman. Never happened, and I never will, because it's not my job to dictate who is good enough for him. It's just that's why I said they're just pricks, man. They always try to, and these are the same people that will accuse men that are with the woman of having no confidence. Like who the hell would have confidence if all the men around them are saying this woman's too good for you, 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 and they're saying this about chicks they've never even seen. I just went to the market and saw a woman. I asked her for a number, and she said no. Oh, she was probably out of your league. Like, but you don't even know what she looked like. Oh, she's probably out of your league. Dude, people online love to just psychoanalyze, and men online rather evaluate your appearance and how you speak and all that. Hey, damn, these guys are creepy as hell. That's how you know you like men saying they want to talk to chicks anymore doesn't matter, because there are no chicks doing this. Dude, I know very few men that are husbands, but I know a lot of them that have kids. It's like, oh, wow, that's the ultimate relationship goal, having a kid with some broad that's gonna stop wanting to be with you less than a year after it's born, and then you get shuffled between her and then some other man, and now you're worried that the other man is doing something to your kid when the kid isn't with. It's like, yeah, that's such a what a lovely future that is for me. Sign me up. I knew this one broad that she was in her like mid 30s and she had 3 kids and she was and I don't want to go too. I'll put it this way: she really was able, like, convinced that guy number 3 after having kid number 4 was going to be husband number 1. I was just laughing. Oh my god! Yep, no ring, just a kid. It's like I bet you would have never imagined when you were younger that it would be easier to have, because again, having a kid takes a long time. That, like, 3/4 of a year, that thing sits in the woman's stomach, and you can get married to someone in literally less than 2 days. Like, go to a courthouse, pay whatever the was like $50, whatever the amount is, and then rings. I mean, a ring might maybe be $1,000. Sometimes it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit higher, but that still is much cheaper than the amount of stuff you're gonna have to spend over the course of that kid's life. So just in general, getting married to someone is easier than having a kid with them in terms of both financial stuff and how long it takes. And I've seen almost no marriages, but then all these damn bastard children. And it's like, I'm really pissed off because people keep telling me about how amazing broads are, and I'm like, what's good about this? Like, I get told I'm selfish by these people on Discord and I want to talk chicks more, but I'm not so selfish as to have a child with a woman I'm not interested in being with anymore and create another broken home. Like, I didn't make a single mother household. That was not my role. I didn't sleep with someone I had no intention of staying with forever after, giving birth to their seeds. But I'm the selfish one, all right. If you go after a person of your own race doesn't guarantee a woman going on a date. I just don't understand. Because here's the thing, how do you know who's in your league if chicks reject you no matter what they look like? If you're fat and you try going after a chick who's fat, she'll probably reject. Yeah, I've seen that happen before. I have seen overweight chicks reject men that are skinny. Dude, it's so much easier to, like, find relationships where the guy is skinny and the broad is overweight than the other way around. Like we have reverse gender versions of Family Guy. You'll always be slightly mediocre to be just out of her league, like a paradox. Well, that's why I said you might as well just say all chicks are out of my league, because these people don't know what any of these broads look like. They don't know what they own. All they know is they turned me down, so they were too good for me. That's what these people are saying. It's ironic too. I even had a broad. I showed the screenshot where she said I was too good for her, and I'm like, how am I too good for you? But I'm the one getting rejected. Like, what? It really is a paradox. Like, a woman can ask you on a date, you say yes, and then you get rejected. That's why I said people who really don't understand why people don't want to talk to chicks anymore because they're tired of getting rejected over. I don't like them. I don't want to talk to them. You guys should watch old shows that I've been seeing Saved by the Bell. That show really understands about guys need to be in their leagues. Again, I don't go around telling anybody who's in their league or not, because it's like, if you're out of this chick's league, why is she talking to you for weeks or months? Like, that's weird. But that's why I said that chicks piss me off, because they sit there and they spend so much time on someone that they have no intentions to do anything with. Like, they really, that's why I showed in the screenshot where the broad was like, oh, all these messages from different, it's like, she'll talk to all these men that she's not interested in because she loves the attention. I already told you, I showed the proof of all the weird, ridiculous stuff chicks do. So if you don't get it at this point, I don't know what else to say. I just don't do this to other people. Like, I don't speak to women I'm not interested in. I don't have kids with chicks that I don't want to marry. I don't do any of that. Hell, a lot of times I was upfront about that being what I would ultimately want. Because I don't think I'm gonna have some superpower that makes some broad that doesn't want to have kids change her mind. So I would say up front, hey, this is what I would want, and then they would say I'm not interested or something like that. Or you had the one broad who said she'd rather get shot in the face. I'm like, oh, nobody even is trying to make you do this. Like, whatever. You get the idea that I tried very hard to not be part of a statistic of creating broken homes that these different commentators online are going to blame on. Oh, this thing called. It's like this woman got with the man that she didn't marry in a sexual way. She has his kid, thinking that it's going to save their relationship, and now it's broken. Like nobody made her screw him. Nobody made her have the kid. Just like with that broad that was complaining about like men uh approaching. I was like, you came to me. I didn't make you send me a message. I would have never knew who you were. You didn't write on my channel. Always play victim. It's never the woman's fault ever. Every time it's always you can attribute it to somebody else. Told you if I had a kid that with one of these broads in one of those broken homes, I would be called deadbeat. I would get blamed for every goddamn thing that went wrong with it. Because again, people just the chick is always the angel, the darling who can do no wrong. Every couple that I see in real life are completely different from one another. Every time these ignorant fools start talking about leagues, I'm just like, who the hell asked to be a commentator? This is real life, not ESPN. And you see why we got Jerry Springer and Maury show for some reason that people love to cheat or take someone else's wife. Oh, that's them, not me. Like I just laugh at the stupid stuff they do. I don't participate in it. That's why I don't have any kids born out of wedlock. That's why I'm not on child support. That's why I'm not with a woman who takes my money. I've seen a lot of stupid stuff that's happened to men because of chicks, and I would just rather avoid it. And that's why a lot of chicks don't like the idea of dating someone and then getting married to them before having a kid, because then it's harder to just like try to use the kid as a means of making the man stay with them. So that's just the way that is. Seriously, in that video, I was disturbed by how many times it's happened where a woman will date a man and just like they act like the Virgin Mary. They just are knocked up, and every time it's the same thing. Like, and I mentioned the one broad that had the kid with the guy when I was in I think 10th grade, and then they were together for like 2 years, and she got with another guy and had another baby with him, and I'm like, I've never seen a woman in real life have two kids by two different men that are not her husband in less than 6 years. Like that's the only person I've because it literally means she did not learn her lesson. Like they always say, "Oh, she made a mistake," but your mistake resulted in the creation of a life with an individual who you do not intend on being with, other than for a few years before jumping to the next guy and repeating the same mistake again. She made a mistake. Nobody would ever try to use that as an excuse. If I did what she did and had, dude, it would be so hilarious if that actually happened. If I had like two kids by two different women that weren't my wife and like 6 years apart or 5 years apart, nobody would be on here defending me. They wouldn't say, "Well, Justin's just trying to get a date and he made a mistake when he was young." No one would do that. Couples I've seen who in my age group always have some weird egotistical game of strategy going on between one another. It's so strange, trying to emotionally manipulate one another or trying to do things to make the other jealous. Yeah. That's why I said relationships aren't even like every time I see a relationship in like that's between people who are like under 40, they're talking trash about each other, they're cursing each other out over the phone. It looks like garbage. You know, I don't really see the appeal. Then people on the internet like to actually make fun of somebody if they have their significant other leave them. They laugh at them. I know this one commentator when his girlfriend left when people were on his video going, "Your girlfriend's got a new man," like they were little kids on the playground. Dude, I'm just That's why I don't believe in like the fairy tales that people tell. Like there's too many bad things that have happened to men because they're with a broad. Like you get cheated on, you get with some broad that begs you for money every time you see her. You get with a broad who has like because they're all I mentioned before that a lot of these kids are born because people don't like wearing condoms when they are intimate with each other. So like you have chicks that will purposely have a kid with a man so that they can extract money out of him. Like there's just a lot of devious, nasty, and it's like, sure, it's not all of them that do it, but that's why I don't like people putting them on pedestals because they really act like all these chicks are these darling angels that enhance the lives of men, but they don't. You have chicks that will speak to you and aren't interested, will waste your time because they like the attention. There's just a lot of dirty stuff they do, like depending on it varies level by level. But I look at this now, and I'm not enticed at all to keep talking to them. Like getting rejected over and over, I'm not really excited to do that again. Going to the gym every day so that somebody might maybe go on a date with you to me is insane. How could you say that hookers are better than girlfriends? Like, well, at least with them, you know what you're getting up front. You can pay one to do what you want. Instead of all these stupid mind games, like we're playing a Star Wars video game. You shall go on a date after I spend 2 weeks talking. No, seriously, like I believe there should be a cap on just how much time you give to chicks. Like getting rejected over and over has been overdone. That's why I don't want to do it anymore. And that's why I think it may piss me off so much because if she hadn't have asked me on a date, I would not have none of that romantic stuff would even happen. Some women take meds, and it's maybe why they couldn't have real relationships. Again, I've had my fill with them, and and I know that it's not a bad thing because if it was, you would actually see chicks on here demanding that I speak to them, but you don't because they have a bunch of men they can cycle through still. And look, that's cool. That means I'll have my time wasted. If they don't play with somebody else, that's on them. Sounds like you need someone who is intelligent. Don't think you found that yet. Yeah. Carrie, I had this one bra from Australia who was Muslim. We used to talk about politics and like different shows. I thought she was very smart, and she lived with her parents. And she said she couldn't date someone who wasn't her religion or couldn't. You don't in the Islamic faith they don't have romantic relationships outside of marriage. So I offered to marry her. She said yes. And then in like a few days, she was reneging and talking about, I might change my mind. And then for 3 months, just dragged me along over and over with this whole thing of, I don't feel as if we have a connection. Like you didn't say that a few months ago. So I don't really know what woman intelligence looks like anymore. Because even the ones you think are smart still do dumb stuff. That's all based around like screwing you over. So bright girls don't care what you look like for sure. Yeah. I don't know what was too bright about stringing me along for 3 months. I'm just using that as an example of how like that was someone I really thought was smarter than most chicks, and they still did something really stupid and really time wasting. Not true. Most people care about looks, but it's not a bad thing. But like I said, I'm not a nitpicky bastard. Like you, when you read the stuff people write on my channel, you would never see me say this stuff when they're talking about you can't get a woman because of the shirt you're wearing. I've never looked at a bra and be like, well, I like the way she looks, but I didn't like what she was wearing that day. It's like, what? I like how she looks, but I don't like that she wears glasses or she has a necklace or she's 5'10". Like, whatever. They get, it's just a bunch of nitpicks. So you accept hey, we had this saying before. I preach acceptance while being met with intolerance. Like, you accept all these different chicks, and then, like, you get told that you have to fit into this really specific, tight, narrow box to just get a date. Only thing that's bad is one gender having more options for doing nothing. That's my point. That like I gave the example, like the Scarlett Johansson example. I gave the example because that's a woman who has accomplished things that most chicks will never come anywhere close to, and it would make sense for someone like her to have 50 men trying to talk to her, 100 or some other ridiculous number, because that's a person who is very high in value in society based off of their earnings and their career. But it's like random chicks that nobody ever heard of have like 10 or 20 men trying to talk to her while I'm getting told about all this stuff I have to just to get one broad to maybe go on a date. And it's like, who the hell wants to do that? Some guy dumped me because he likes girls with long nails. Yeah, well, again, I'm not a nitpicky bastard, so I don't really understand that. Hey, go on Reddit. You'll find some man on there who wants to talk to you. Dude, the R for R section just had men going. After we saw that broad, I showed the screenshot where she had 50 men try to talk to her without even seeing her picture. No, you're not convincing me again that chicks can't get with a man if they want to. You go on one of these websites for 5 seconds and you'll see. Sadly, some guys have made it harder for other men to date, and some women don't help. Take the black pill. Who cares? They came from the same place you came from. They click a button. They go on the stream. A lot of guys online boosting these women's egos. I just don't see how you're supposed to get someone to want to talk to you or do anything with you if they have 5, 10, or 15 other men trying to talk to them. I'm not really picky about looks. She just has to carry herself like a decent person and maintain hygiene. I mean, but again, it's like all you do when you come on here and talk about this stuff is get attacked over the way you look, and it doesn't address any of the criticisms that we've made. The dating market. The dating market is literally just a complete joke. Like literally every time I think of modern dating, it's abroad on a website getting some double digit number of men to send messages to her. Like this is not appealing in the slightest. The dating market. Hey, what market? Dude, imagine going to a grocery store and like like let's say the chicks are aisles, right? Every aisle has like a whole team of men like swarming around it like sharks, like you can't even get anywhere near it because it's just this like circle of men around every aisle. I think men in general should hold women to a higher standard, but society would never make that collective effort. I don't even know if I held them to a high standard. I just got tired of getting turned down over and over, especially by chicks that will sit there and talk to you for weeks or months and act as if they're interested, like, oh, I just want to be friends, or oh, I don't know why you thought this. So that was when I just said, yeah, the hell with this. Agree, but the only reason they don't is because a lot of men don't have options. Yeah, like that's my point. That it's like they tell you go out and talk to a woman if you want to get a date, but then they also say that men shouldn't talk to this. Like, it's hard to get men at get mad at men for doing the thing that they're told to do. Like they're told to be assertive and go out there and make an effort, and then when they don't get the results they want, they get blamed for it, and they're told that other men are stopping them when all of them are literally doing the exact same thing for the same purpose. Yeah, that's common. Some women won't just talk to you for would just talk to you for the attention, which is why when you realize they're on that BS, you call them out and just stop talking to those kind of women. Yeah, but that's my point. Like, what is the purpose of talking to chicks if they're either only speaking to you for attention or some like ulterior motive that's not actually about trying to get a date? Like, what good is coming out of that? Sadly, some women have ridiculous standards, and some men acquiesce to them. Not me. Yeah, but you call thirsty when you approach women. It's a vicious cycle. That's why I told you with this chick stuff, you cannot win. Like people will criticize you for approaching chicks, and people will criticize you for not bothering with them anymore. I remember when I used to approach some of the ones online, I was called thirsty. I was like, well, I'm just doing what I've been told to do by society, which is to be assertive and attempt to get something that I want. So, if I'm just going to be criticized no matter what I do, then the hell with it. So I said it's just, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because romance isn't about liking someone anymore. It's all a strategic simulation where the chicks don't have to do anything to get a bunch of attention. And if you're a man, you get verbally, you get crucified and hung on a cross for a woman's decision. Because apparently you're supposed to be like Professor X or Jean Grey or Emma Frost and use your mental manipulation powers to make people go on a date with you. It's only the women don't find the men attractive. Yeah. And you know what pisses me off though? They don't have to talk to these like when they go on social media, they can ask the man, "Can I see a picture of you?" And if this man sends a picture, you don't like him, just stop talking to him. Like I'd have a lot more respect for him if they said up front, "I'm not going to ever date you. Don't waste your time. Just leave me alone." I would do that. I feel a hell of a lot less shortchanged because then I don't have to sit there and spend weeks or months talking to someone that isn't interested. If girls really acted like guys, they will get rejected badly or hardly. Dude, like I said, if all these chicks went out and actually approached men they found attractive and stopped doing this, like, let me talk to a rotation of men because I'm supposedly weighing my options, you would see a different result. Like you wouldn't have these groups exist because they would actually have to do something instead of just, well, I have a triangle, so I can just sit here and not actually make an attempt. The magic triangle. A lot of that chick stuff is really pointless. Like I feel bad for even having ever tried talking to any of them ever. Because again, it's just like, what's the point? Like, I don't understand why you should sit there and talk to an individual who is not interested in you, and you can see a very basic pattern of a woman will smile in your face, talk about the connection you have, about how much you mean to her, all these little different terms that are supposed to like gas you up and overinflate your importance, and then just toss you aside like a piece of garbage when it's not befitting for her anymore. Like if you say you want to go on a date, oh, I don't want to speak to her, oh, I just want to be friends, it just gets really repetitive. And then people criticize you for getting sick of seeing the same result. Well, you probably did this. You probably these fog whispers. Well, you probably made her uncomfortable when you did. You weren't even there. I bet you don't even go to the gym every day. It's like, who does? If you just did 500 push-ups, just again, think of how insane that is to get a random woman who, in some cases, don't even exercise at all, 500 push-ups every day. What is that, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? And people are really surprised when you're like, this is stupid. Like you said, it would be more respectful if a woman didn't smile at you and flat out said, I'm not interested, rather than stringing you along like a cat trying to catch yarn just to get your hopes up and then reject you. That's sad. And it's a waste of time. And it's the stuff that really pisses me off. Because these people always make it sound like he just went to a woman and she said no, and then he got messy. No, you sit here and you give all this. That's why I said it's the romance comic book. You give all this red herring that you're into this, that, signs that would point to you being interested in this person. And then you do your little stupid plot twist of, oh, I'm not actually interested. Got you. Again, if a woman approached me and I sat there and spoke to her for 2, 3, 4 months, and told her how, oh, you mean something to me and we have a connection and I appreciate you so much and how are you doing? And then she says, hey, we're going to date. And I go, oh, I only like you as a friend. People would say I was psychotic. Why would you sit there and gas her up for months just to not do anything? And now she has to start all over again with another man. Like, that's stupid. But again, nobody wants to criticize chicks ever. Darling little angels that can do no wrong. Bow down to the mighty triangle. They would say you play with her emotions, you're a master manipulator, you're toxic. Yeah, and women work why more. Oh, and women wonder why more men are getting frustrated about approaching them. I told you, I don't know why they can't just make it to where you ask them on a date, they say no, that's it. Why is there this like dragged out goddamn, like I even asked the broad on the date and like I was on the phone with her and she took like a whole minute to just say no. She was like, after just say no. God, don't act like you're actually thinking about it. You're not. Because if you were, you'd have asked me in the last 7 or 8 months. Oh, we know they're cowards. Like we've had studies done on chicks not approaching men because they are scared. Now I got people on here criticizing me for not wanting to date abroad with 3 kids. Or one that begs me for money every day. Honestly, it takes courage and bravery. The funniest thing is it saves you time and her time. So why the heck do they waste their own time? It's like me going to a restaurant just to walk in and say I'm not hungry. No, it's like you going to a restaurant and every day you ask them, "Are there any specials? Is there any new food on the menu?" And then then they're just like, "Okay, is this person ever going to buy anything?" Because they've been doing this for weeks. And you're like, "Oh no, I'm not hungry. I'm not, but thanks for all the information, guys. I really appreciate it." Like, what was the point of that? Is it like those job interviews where they have you like drive over there? Is it like those job interviews they have you drive over there, so they smile in your face and ask you all these questions about yourself, and then like nothing happens? Like, what was the point of that? Thanks for wasting my time. I really appreciate it. No one wants a woman with 3 kids. Definitely red flags. But the thing is, a lot of these chicks actually think that they can find someone that wants that. Like a woman with 3 kids by 2 different men. And again, she really convinced herself husband number 3, not excuse me, boyfriend number 3, the father of child number 4 is going to be husband number 1. And it's like, who wants to marry a broad with 3 kids? And they're not even like, because you know what, there are adult children sometimes, like with older couples, but it's like these are like, why? Who wants that? Let me get on here and talk about not being able to get a date and have 1 kid. I would be laughed at. They would say that's what you get. You made your bed, now you have to lay in it. Let alone 3. I feel your pain on that one. I know nowadays some companies are doing online reviews, which saves a lot more time. I told you I had one place when they interviewed me, it would cost $60 to go back there and go and like come back. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. It's just so they can smile in my face and not hire me. That's stupid. Damn, I could eat for 2 weeks with $60. You crazy? That's how far it was. There was another place where like they wanted me to take a picture at their building and it was like in another city and to Uber over there would be like again to come back and from there is like $180, I think. It's like, yeah, good luck, guys. No, they won't come. They don't care. These companies don't care if you live or die. They don't care about anything but their bottom line. Mad about the draft. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Yeah, I remember when I was like, "Oh, I'll sign up for the draft, but if they ever do try to draft me, you will never see me again. I'll be streaming from Russia. I'm not about to go to another country and die in a banana war for these ungrateful heifers." Like nobody cares about veterans. That's why a fourth of all homeless people serve in the military because nobody gives a damn about you protecting them, supposedly, or fighting for them. What's the topic? Well, at one point it was about the new Super movie that I'm not excited for because I'm just tired of Goku and Vegeta. They're like a virus at this point. Hell, they've been going longer than COVID. And then it was about some of the chick stuff. I think it's because who has the most experience in bed. That's why men and women had multiple kids in the past and they think they're experts about. But if you're an expert about getting screwed, you're not an expert about having a relationship. Like, why should you take the advice of a woman that is single with 3 kids seriously? Like, why would that even, or the guy that's been divorced twice? LOL, you'd catch me chilling in some village in Bangladesh. I ain't fighting no banana war either. Well, you're not even gonna be able to because you're gonna go to jail for fraud and theft for stealing that lady's picture. Because there actually was a person who was like, "Oh, your profile pictures are copyright." I honestly think they should make it so women who are pregnant don't get exempt from front lines. I can't wait to get demonetized over reading that. He's encouraging violence against unborn children. No, I'm not. I'm reading what somebody wrote. The most experience in bed. Oh, it looks like they disappeared. I guess the chick topic is over. I mean, whatever. I didn't. I'm not too upset. I'm gonna get off of here really soon. Uh, what are you talking about? Yeah, I don't know either. Some of these people write stuff. I'm just sitting there bewildered. But what I am talking about is James rebooting his channel over and over. He puts up a video. That video it lasts a shorter amount of time than milk. That thing will be gone in like 1 day or 2 weeks. I always come in mad late. It is what it is. Hey, I remember the first time I saw you was on the stream I did where the guy said, like nothing matters, and then he was making videos about the thing that he says doesn't matter. I'm like, if nothing matters, then why are you doing anything? And like just, and then the guy in the comment section was like, "You're, what was it? You're strong manning." I'm like, no, he literally said nothing matters. So then him eating shouldn't matter. Him making videos shouldn't matter. I'm just going off of what he said. If he said, like one of the guys said, politics doesn't matter, and then he keeps making videos about politics like for the last like he's made at least 70 or 80 and I'm like you can't do that and have me take you seriously. Straw man in my point. Don't say nothing matters then if you don't want to have somebody do straw man your point supposedly. Say a specific thing doesn't matter and then we can go from there because every time somebody says that stupid stuff they always show examples of being a hypocrite. If nothing matters then why do you block people that comment on your video something you don't like? Because their comments shouldn't matter so getting rid of it shouldn't matter either, right? It's like they want to call themselves a nihilist, but don't actually agree with a nihilistic lifestyle. Yeah, it's like I don't know any nihilists that sit on the internet trying to get thousands of subs by making hundreds of videos a year. What is that? And again, it's like their own statement is what doesn't make sense. Like if I said I don't care about Instagram, for example, right? I don't post on there, so that would be consistent. But you can't make loads of videos about something you say doesn't matter without it apparently mattering to you. Because why else would you talk about it? I just don't like those people because again, if they were true to their belief, they would actually embody it. They wouldn't feed themselves. They wouldn't respond to your comments. They wouldn't comment on your video. They would just go and just not even do anything because nothing matters, right? Not feeding themselves, taking care of themselves doesn't matter. But all these people, they're working 9 to 5s. They're putting stuff up online. They're like trying to see what it's like. What kind of hypocrite are you? That's real. If you really don't care, you won't feel the need to constantly remind people how much you don't care. Like the guy that said that it was some topic didn't bother him, and he dropped some 15-minute video talking about it. I'm like, if it doesn't matter, don't make a video about it. Dude, they make it so easy, and it's like you don't even have to be smart to do that. Just their statement does not make sense of what they do. All right, see you later, Carrie. Guess that's one of those times you just say it is what it is. A true nihilist would think YouTube is pointless. Yeah, but it's like you can't believe nothing matters, and then you're uploading something on here every day, and you care so much about what people have to say about your stuff that you go and look for response videos and you're blocking people. It's like, you care. Dude, people on this website are just, they say things that don't make any sense at all. I've been on YouTube for 13 years. No, oh, you stole my tenure. And still astounds me how stupid people will be. The people on this website, they've had something wrong with them for a long time. Like, you have the people who tell you how to grow a channel, 99% of the time, they don't even have any subscribers or videos. It's like, who are you to be preaching to me how to get bigger? And then we had the voice actor saga where it's like people will sign up for a project just to jump off, and then they're like, so people are surprised when you get pissed because they lead you to they do the red herring. Like I have a voice actor in March who said I will re-record this stuff for 2 months. Every time I message this person, no response. Then they finally announced they're quitting. So I'm like, okay, you led me on for 60 days to believe you would record something, and then I'm not supposed to get pissed. How to get 3 million subs overnight, and the video has 1.5 views. YouTube is full of sensitive people because you try to tell the truth and they get all butthurt. Dude, they're hypocrites. They don't know what they're talking about. Just every bad trait you can find on this website. I guess the only solace is that at least this site will always be better than Twitter. It's Twitter and Discord. You can just take those and throw them away. The only bad thing about here is that people argue on those other websites, and then they try to make like expose videos on people nobody ever heard of. Like I've seen so many instances where someone goes in the Discord server and starts screenshotting, and they're like, "This person said this person said that. I'm exposing him," and I'm like, nobody even knows who this is enough to care about them being like. Every time I do a video like that, it's venting, and I always hide the person's name because I'm not exposing anybody. I'm just talking about something that pissed me off. Because I know nobody knows who this is. They'll make people that no one ever heard of sound like Beyonce. Like it's really crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna get off here. I've been going for 2 hours, and then Megumi shows up literally in the last minute of the stream because that's what people do on here. They have their little 11th hour ranger. He's like, what was it, Kagura from Naruto show up in like the last 10 or 15 chapters. And you know what? He's like Kid Buu because he shows up all the way at the end of his own arc. Like that's just all the way at the bottom. Have his little cameo. He's the Nick Fury of the stream. I came to talk to you about the Romance Initiative. Yeah, the Megumi cameo. He's in the post-credit scene. Yeah, next time will either be on Wednesday or Saturday. I'll have to watch the stream back. Yeah, Megumi, I gotta get out of here. I'm sorry. So thanks for showing up, even if it was for 2.2 seconds. Thanks, Dio. Thanks, Kame. Uh, who else came? Envoy, Brandon, Banana, that one crazy lady, that other person. See ya.